So I first want to say, and I think we should all thank Fonz for having an amazing meetup here and having everyone together. Let's give them a round of applause. And I want to thank Tom and I want to thank Jason for giving me the opportunity to come here and talk to you guys a little bit about Collector Archive Services. I'm an Empire State Club member, but I'm also part owner of a company called Collector Archive Services. Next slide, please. Come on, you're driving. Come on. So what is Collector Archive Services? We are a preservation, authentication, and grading company for collectible toys and video games. What we do, and the thing that gives me the most pride that we do, is we help collectors get the most out of their collectibles and interesting and creative displays. We also provide, like some of the other grading companies that are out there, a third-party authentication and condition appraisal. But importantly, we are a company that's formed by collectors. So, we're part of the hobby. We're one of you guys. We want to do right by the hobby, and we want to do things that help, like I said, help people get the most out of their collectibles. So instead of hearing me go on and on about it, I have a little promotional video that we've done, a little promotional video that tells who we are. Collector Archive Services. We can turn this into this.
Wow!
This into this.
No way!
And this into this.
Holy moly! Rah!
We can also make this, 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 and this.
Friggin' amazing!
We're a preservation, authentication, and grading company for collectible toys and video games. Collector Archive Services, for collectors by collectors. All right, that's the video. That's the video. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Your shirt off.
So again, I just want to show you some of the pieces that we've done and kind of illustrate some of the stuff that we can do. So we do carded figures, of course. That's everyone loves carded figures. This is a 21 back FET. Every case that we do is 99% UV resistant, the highest grade archival acrylic you can get on the market. We're a preservation company above all else, so there's no need to pay for an archival upgrade. Everything is standard with the best acrylic on the market. This is something that we're kind of known for when it comes to loose figures. The company's been around a year and a half, so to say we're known for, I don't know, but we're slowly getting there and getting the word out. But if folks have ever graded toys with some of the other companies, you've seen that the weapons, the blasters, whatever accessories they have, typically taped on the side. One thing that my partners did before I joined the company, which I think is great, we developed kind of a vacuum form where we kind of display the blaster out front and center for folks to see, as opposed to being taped on the side with harsh adhesives and stuff like that. So what's the best thing about a double telescoping saber?
Seeing the whole thing.
Seeing the whole double telescoping action. So again, some of the other grading companies that are around, if you were to grade a DT Luke or a Vader or a Ben, the DT would be retracted on the side. You're not seeing the action. The whole point of that figure, the reason that it's so special, is you can see the full telescoping action. So that's also something that folks like, that we've come to be known for. The thing that gives me the most pride, that I love that we do, is, and frankly, we're the product of collectors' creations. This was one that was submitted by, where is he? Christopher Riley, there he is. He tried us out very, very early. This is the 4 wax packs, I think the 5 series from the first issue, all kind of displayed together, right? Otherwise, those would be sitting, down on a shelf or scattered around. You take something that's a wax packs and kind of you make it a centerpiece item. So that was something we were really proud to do and love doing, and it was great of Chris to give it to us. Here's another interesting one that happened very early on that I think is pretty neat, and it shows the vacuum form that we've done. We never had a repeat customer do this because the value of all these weapons with the value of weapons that are out there now is probably astronomical, but this is all of the accessories for the original vintage Kenner line, all kind of together, including folks that know the YPS Snow Trooper gun as well. Like I said, only one collector has done it, but it was something creative that we put together, and I think it looks pretty neat. We've done a few of these as well, kind of figure combinations. Again, this is things you can't get with a sliding bottom case. Nothing that's kind of on the market. It's all custom stuff. This is the full set of the first series Ewoks with their coins and all kind of displayed together, which is, again, another neat piece. This is one we did relatively recently, which I loved. It is the Cantina aliens, as I'm sure you all see, but they're a little bit special. They're PBP. PBP is the licensee of Star Wars in Spain. These are very tough to get, very, very rare. And so we kind of display them all with the vacuform all together as a set. So we don't only do Star Wars. We're any collectible toy or video game. This was a pretty neat piece that we did relatively recently. If folks have seen Chris Fawcett, who's a Star Wars collector that's been around a long time, found a bunch of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle prototypes. And this is it's a first shot prototype of Raphael as a mummy. It's non-sonic welded, basically meaning that it wasn't put together, right? So it's a tough piece to display. Again, you could have it kind of strewn around, or we gave the collector an option of kind of having them all pieced out and displayed together. So next slide, we've done that with a few types of things. This stuff is Lily Letty Overstock. So Lily Letty is a company in Mexico who was a licensee of Star Wars. It was production parts that weren't ever put in production. It was overstocked for whatever reason. Some of the stuff is not painted. You can see that arm there is not painted. So again, just a nice way to display that. This is a hard copy Obi-Wan Kenobi, a modern one, kind of the same style, kind of displayed out. So again, don't only do Star Wars stuff. We've been privileged to get a lot of G.I. Joe stuff. Do we have any G.I. Joe collectors? Anyone collect G.I. Joe as well? Another G.I. Joe figure with the file card, again, the vacuform, figure crankcase, some He-Man stuff, keep going, mask. Again, if you go back, we kind of did use that vacuform you see for the weapons, but for a figure as well, because I don't think the figures there have any footholes in the pegs. So the way that we do loose figures, we actually have pegs at the bottom that we clamp the figure on because it kind of stays stable, but with the mass figures it doesn't have that, so we kind of vacuformed it in there. Rubik's Cube, and that's the dangerous part of being involved in a company that does toy grading, is I see a lot of stuff that I haven't seen in a long time. So I can tell you there's probably like 8 to 10 items that have come in. I'm like, shit, now I got to get a Rubik's Cube. I got all these new things that I mean, not new stuff that I just hadn't seen in years. It's kind of prompted me to buy stuff. So very neat piece, and you'll see we've done something similar with Star Wars stuff for this. This is engineering pilot Batmobile from the Superpowers line. Kind of gave it that action with a little ramp on it. So again, it's just these are the things that we love to do, to give an interesting display and kind of give more life to some toys. This was one that actually, again, we're oftentimes the product of collectors doing really, really creative stuff. We didn't think of this, but a collector who wanted to preserve this 2-pack mailer, or actually this was 2-pack that came in the Cantina set, I believe. Didn't want to open it and have uncirculated grade to display the figures, but instead went and got an X-ray done of the figures to show. So, I mean, if you look at the box, it's just a plain white box. It's not very interesting, right? But if you marry it up with an X-ray of the figure, again, not our idea. We're just kind of piggybacking off of what collectors come up with and what their ideas are. So it was a pretty neat piece. We've done certain combos like this. This is a Count Dooku prototype figure that the collector wanted to present with the production counterpart. Love that. And I can't remember who I was talking to before. It was a Black Series collector that I was telling that you might be interested in this. We had someone submit the entire line of the 40th anniversary Black Series carded figures with the loose vintage and kind of married them up together. Looked great. I mean, he's got them all kind of displayed out, and I thought that came out very, very well. This is probably my favorite piece that we've done the whole time, and it just shows, again, we're helping people do what they otherwise wouldn't be able to do. This guy, and I blacked out their names, but this gentleman is a huge G.I. Joe collector, and on his wedding, I don't know how much you know about the G.I. Joe history, because we're a bunch of Star Wars collectors, but Lady Jaye and Flint in the cartoon back in the day, they got it on. They were romantic. They were kind of into each other. And this guy on his wedding date had him and his wife had the carded figures of Lady Jane Flint, took that picture. So what he did, he sent us a picture of him, the 2 carded figures, and their wedding invitation, and kind of put them all together. I'd say of everything we've received, that's probably the thing I like the most. It's another thing that we've gotten a lot of in, just a different, interesting way to preserve and display the Max Rebo band. Die-cast ships, that's a die-cast X-Wing, obviously. Again, with very similar style to the Batmobile, where it's kind of angled on a stand in an action display. Same thing with the TIE Bomber, which, Mr. Riley, I think you have one for me today, which is cool. We'll make it look real good. And this is another thing that I'm actually pretty proud of, and it's something very different that no grading company has done before. We give collectors the options to submit the card back, and we marry it up with the actual figure. We grade the figure. The card back is ignored for grading purposes, but it's just an interesting way if you don't want to spend a lot of money on a carded figure, or you have a rare card back that you can't find an example for. It's a very good alternative to that. So it's one of my favorite things that we've done. I'll show you a few of these that we've done too. This is very, very rare. Again, Lily Letty, which is a licensee in Mexico. This is a speeder bike with all the components kind of out and displayed. The Slave One kind of out. This piece, when we actually did it, it was, I grabbed it. It was so big and unruly. I was afraid I was going to drop it into a million pieces, but I thought that came out pretty well. And we just are finishing this on the next slide. Done. A collector in the UK sent us an unused Imperial shuttle. I mean, that thing is a beast. It's literally like from this table to the end and like that big. And we got to get this son of a bitch back to the UK. I don't know how we're going to do it. We started looking for shipping quotes. It's like $1,600 to get it back to him. So it's one of those things. It's like we're like the dog chasing the car. When you get the car, what are you going to do with the car, right? Like, I think we might have bit off more than we can chew. So you may never see this one public, but this is a Empire State exclusive here. One of the last things, I think I end with this, if I recall the order of the slides. But who's familiar with, and I can still call you on this for Tom. Who's familiar with U grading or uncirculated grading? Maybe Tom.
We are.
Yeah. So Tom, can you tell a little bit about that?
We submitted a double telescoping loop to AFA that got U graded by mistake. Some of you guys probably have heard the story before, but we got it back and it was separated from its bubble and it was in a loose setup with the U grade on it. So it completely devalued the carded figure that we had basically unearthed. And now we're so shamed we're not going to sell it or display it. So the outcome of it was, oh well, that's the way it goes. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate. It devalued it, and it takes a pretty rare example off the market. Yeah. So, like I said, Collector Archive Services, we're collectors, we're a preservation company above all else. We don't U-grade carded figures or baggies or store shelf items. So instead, we came up with something. Now, at the end of the day, there's a ton of cut cards out there for various reasons, whether people cut them up to put into stockings for Christmas, right, because they couldn't put a whole carded figure in there, or whatever reason. I think some at the Kenner Employee Store, right? Ron, you might know that, Kenner Employee Store, there was a lot of cut cards. So there's a lot of those out on the market. And, people could open those up and submit them for an uncirculated grade. But what we've done to encourage people to not open things is we came up with something called the preserve grade, which someone can send that in, we preserve and protect it, make a nice case for it, and if you need a grade for the figure, we give you a grade for the figure, and ignore the bubble and ignore the card, because otherwise that's half of a card. If you're submitting it to a grading company, that would grade like a CAS 20 or something out of 100. So it's something interesting that we came up with, and we've had a decent amount of submissions. And I feel good if it keeps people from opening things that otherwise be open that have now been sealed for 40 years. So it's something I take a lot of pride in that we've done. Similar to that on the preserve grade, a couple of these, both of these, I think either before they came to us, I think it was before they came to us, this Chewbacca it was previously graded by another company, had bust through the bubble, and this land speeder, the bubble had broken off, but they were both still inside an AFA case, so technically they weren't circulated. What we did on this Chewbacca, we created a bubble protector, which is kind of a protection, an acrylic piece that goes around the bubble, keeps that Chewbacca in there. Same thing with the bubble protector to get that bubble and the die-cast ship back on the card. And essentially, you've now preserved a piece that otherwise the card would have been tossed away, the bubble would have been gone, and the figure would have been loose. So again, it's less valuable, sure, than a sealed example, but they look damn good to me. And then finally, this is a similar one. Again, just illustrates the point that otherwise that would never be sent for grading with a piece of it gone. But it's a very clean, nice figure. Someone submitted it for the preserve grade, and we preserved and protected a figure that might otherwise be open. The reason I have this up, I'm basically at the end. I have a little game we can play. I have a few giveaways, if that's okay. That image, I don't know if anyone's a KISS fan. Any KISS fans? Oh, yeah. Like KISS? So I came up with this design. Actually, a fellow collector, Josh Blake, helped me with it. I came up with this design, kind of off that. I have 3 of these to give away. But we're going to play a game. I don't just give stuff away. We're going to play a game. You got to earn your stuff. So, everyone ready? I'm going to ask 3 questions. I'm going to ask 3 questions. 3 questions, not related to Star Wars collecting, related to some other line. The first person to get each one right, I have different sizes. So, you guys ready? Just blurt it out. Whoever blurts it out. Actually, I'm not going to be able to see who's done it. So we gotta be on the honor system a little bit here. Ready? Ready? All right. What year did the 3 3/4 inch G.I. Joe figures debut? 82. Who said it? All right. You get a shirt. You get a shirt. All right. How many figures are on the back of the debut Masters of the Universe card?
8.
Somebody said 8. You say 8? All right. It's his house. He gets it. He gets it. Good thing I brought a 2X, right? Good thing I brought a 2X. This is the tough one. Those first 2 were layups, but this is a tougher one. So the vintage Kenner mask line, what is mask an acronym for?
Mobile Armored Strike Command.
All right. That's good. That's impressive. That's impressive. That's impressive. Who was it? You guys all together. You want to share the shirt? Are you going to share the shirt? That's it. I mean, last thing I'll say is that maybe you saw thank you, Toby. We saw I'm taking in-person submissions. If you want to try us out, I'll go set up over there. If you guys have anything you want to submit, I'd be happy to take it. So,
Ross, thank you very much.
Thank you guys very much. Appreciate it. Thank you.